Welcome back, everybody, to the daily show where we discuss and do technical analysis on big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please smash that like button, and 100 plus likes on this video would be greatly appreciated, guys. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, if you want to support the channel and get my daily trade ideas, my swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of setups, definitely check out their link down below in the description for Patreon. And now let's get right into it, guys. On Google stock, it's up 1%. So Google was way outside the Bollinger Band, and this was a perfect day trade right here, getting some puts 200 and then selling out right here after it was down to 199. So Google here, you can see it was way outside the Bollinger Band, and you can see the rejection candle right here. What happened? We got a pullback. Right here, what happened? We got a pullback. And now we get the similar type of candle, huge rejection, and we got a gap down here at 198.81. So going into tomorrow's session, 200 Google needs to break and hold. If that happens, you're going to see possibly another brand new all-time high, and that could be not only 203.84, 206. To the downside, gap fill reversal, that should be a strong support, 198.81. Underneath that level, you're going to see a flush down to 195, and then this gap comes into play, 193.27. We also have earnings coming up very soon, next month, beginning of next month, here on Google stock. On Amazon stock, it's up 2.11%. So Amazon over 230. And you can see this one was also squeezing up to almost 232 and then came back, not a lot, sitting over 230. So that's going to be a line in the sand, 230. Below that, we might see a drop down to this gap from today, 226.51. And that's going to be a strong support below 230. Underneath that level, we'll also have these moving averages that can act as a strong support, 223, and then 220, 216, 214 gap right here on bottom. On AMD, it's up 0.68%. So AMD now over 122, and we got a doji indecision candle today. So if this thing can hold over 122, we might see a move up to 125, possibly up to 127 to close this gap on top. To the downside, strong support you can see now, 20-day moving average holding at 122. So this is going to be your key line in the sand right here on AMD. Underneath that level, you're going to see a flush down to 118, 114, and then 110. We also have earnings coming up on AMD next month. On Meta, it's up 0.60%, so nothing big. Meta up today, and we got a doji indecision candle. It's trading over 615 and holding that as a support. And you can see it came back down to where these moving averages right here, 610, 609, and we got that bounce off of that level. So now, if Meta can hold a 614, 615, we might see a move up to this upper Bollinger Band, 628. Over that, this thing can come back up and retest previous all-time highs right here, 638. To the downside, we do have support here at 614, 615. Underneath that level, 609, 605, 600, 596.71, rising red line 50-day moving average, and below that, watch out for 582. On Microsoft, it's absolutely flat on the day, and this thing actually came down to 425. And you can see 5-day moving average we did not even touch, went back up, and now trading over 427, 428, holding 50-day and 20-day moving average. So this is going to be your line in the sand right here at 428. If this thing is able to hold, we might see that move up to this gap right here just under 437. Now, we also have earnings coming up next week right here on Microsoft. So this is not a time where you can go long here on the stock unless you're going like really long term. To the downside, watch out for the support below 428, down here at 425, 420, and then 413. On Apple, stock is down 3%. So Apple was down pretty much all day. And you can see we got a red body hammer type candle, and we bounced off of this 220 support, did not fill this gap at 216.90. So now, question here, we have earnings coming up end of next week. We also have a hammer type candle. Is this the bottom, at least in the short term, or there is going to be more dump off? I think the question will be, can Apple hold right here at 220? If we get that, we can hold over 220 tomorrow, this week, into next week before earnings. I think there's a good chance Apple might go back up and close this gap 228. So that is your upside target if you're playing before earnings, but I would not hold any positions unless you're really long term right here on Apple going into earnings. So your key line this in 220. If this thing can hold that, then watch out for the resistance at 228, 230, and once we get over that, we can talk about more upside right here on Apple. Netflix going up 1.35%, and now after releasing earnings, up 13%. So I'm not going to go too much into details and give you guys lots of levels right here on Netflix because nobody knows where things will open here on the stock tomorrow. Keep that in mind. It's going to be really overextended at opening tomorrow. If this thing opens at 985 to 1000, you can see upper Bollinger Band sitting at 940, and it's going to get that stretch tomorrow morning. So, I'm expecting a little bit of pullback before heading higher, and possibly the target will be 1000. Now, if this thing comes back and somehow gets a retest right here at 940, 942, yes, that would be a buying opportunity. Maybe a scalp, a day trade idea here, as long as you have a stop on Netflix. And like I said, I'm not going to go too much into details. We'll talk about it tomorrow night for how things actually open tomorrow, and then we can talk about it in details. Netflix, where things can go. On Tesla, stock is down 0.5%, and I actually got some calls earlier on Tesla, got stopped out immediately, and then I bought back in at 411, 410 here, and now this thing is up, and I'm holding overnight because there is still a gap on top, 451, and who knows? I mean, with this candle, look at this dip buying here, guys. A hammer candle, red body bar, and we can definitely continue this move up to this gap. Now, question here on Tesla: if this thing gets under 411, what's going to happen? If this thing gets under 411, you'll see a lot more downside, easily down to 400, possibly down to this 50-day moving average right here, 384, and then 375. So as long as Tesla remains over, I would say 411, and now that it's holding 416 right here, these two moving averages, your key line the send for tomorrow, 416 to 417, 411, and then 400. Over 429, this thing can move easily up to this gap, 451. At least that should be your target. That is my target over 429. We also have earnings coming up end of next week right here on Tesla. And that's going to be a big event because lots of things are going on right now. And Tesla breaks out to a brand new all-time high. This thing can run even higher. On Nvidia stock, it's up 2.27%. So Nvidia back over 140, and we came back not even retesting exactly 136 and went back up. So buyers doing a great job holding over 140, and looks like now this thing can move up to 144.56. So going into tomorrow's session, 140 your key line in the sand, below that 136, 130. Over 140, expect more upside up to 144.56 and maybe even retest previous all-time highs right here on Nvidia stock. And that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section.